Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the stream. Those of you who are probably just joining us, or those of you on YouTube who are just turning into the video, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us and watch the video. Wrong way. We have two teams on today. First team is going to be the first Egyptian Field Army. We're going to talk to them about their team and about the recent situation, which just ended earlier today with the surrender to EFA. Next guest will be GSC, and GSC will talk about the ongoing situation between GSC and GDC, which seems to be boiled down a little bit, but the tension's still there. Alright, without further ado, let's get our first guest in here. Yo. Alright, before we start, can you make sure your audio is included?
I just included it.
Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and start off with the basics. Name, rank, and unit.
First Lieutenant Small, CEO of the First Egyptian Field Army, which is 1 EFA.
Alright, next question is, can you tell us about 1 EFA? What made you choose Egyptians as a standard?
The three most common practiced Milsim units in the entire community, and it's proven that you can just search any of the Milsim servers. It's Russian, British based, or American based. So there's most of the biggest units out here right now are Russian, American, or British units. Myself and my command staff, we went out and we looked at other foreign choices such as Italian, Australian, and obviously Egyptian. We chose Egyptian because, to our knowledge, there was no units from the Middle Eastern based. So there was no Asia, there was no Syrians, there was nothing like that. We decided, let's be the first. So we chose 1 EFA.
And 1 EFA is relatively new, correct?
We've been up for just over 2 months. So we are still relatively new, but every officer in our unit has had past command experience elsewhere in other units.
Alright. Now you're not in the BF4 community chat just yet, are you?
No, I want to keep my guys out until I have enough members to fend for myself in a raid.
Alright. This next question is going to be kind of hard to answer, but can you give us your thoughts on the BF4 community?
Oh, it's not that hard to answer. The community. It's been around for a while, but it needs to change its ways because there are certain units which not naming anyone, but there are certain units which get more prejudice than others. They're more looked upon, and there are others which are more frowned upon. It's just the community as it is right now. It's terrible compared to what it used to be back, like let's say 2 years ago. It was a brilliant. It was in my opinion at its peak, but since then with soft targeting, knifing, all this, it's went downhill. It's coming to an end anyways. The next Battlefield's coming out soon, so it's at that sort of time where the Battlefield 4 Milsims are coming to the end of their lifespans.
As far as we can tell, there are going to be a lot of people changing over, and it's going to be going from some modern day military unit to a unit that was back during the next time frame, the next Battlefield.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts on the BF1 side of the community?
I've only ever been in one BF1 Milsim, which was when my unit, which I was in BF4, transferred over to BF1. Back then, the servers were terrible. They just weren't meant for Milsim. But since then, I don't really keep up to date with much of what's going on in Battlefield. So I can't really give you any intel. Like, I can't really see anything on Battlefield 1's Milsims.
Alright. Now, this next question is, are there any plans on moving either to BF1 or BFV?
Hopefully, depending on the time frame of when the next Battlefield is, I hope to move my unit across to it. But it all depends on move across instantly, just because of the server issues that originally started, like with the game Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4. I'd probably wait 2 weeks to a month beforehand, and depending on if myself and the higher ups in my unit wanted to move, I'd probably split ways, because Battlefield 4 is just getting old for me. I plan on taking my unit to the next one, or making a new unit on the next one, and leaving my current unit to those that are underneath me. But I definitely don't plan on moving to Battlefield 1.
Alright, probably answers question in the previous question, but are there any problems you see in the community that could be fixed?
We could definitely switch back to the old community rules. Those were a lot better. I'm not in the community, and I'm not well known upon, but I'm sure many people would agree with me that on the fact that the old community rules were far better than the new ones. The soft targeting, the JDAMs, all this crap, like all the new stuff, it's just, it's pathetic.
Alright, question is, what do you think causes the most problems in the community chat?
As a whole, or like top 5?
Let's go with the top 5.
Top 5 in no real order. Personal grudges against ex-members. I know that plenty hate it when the members leave, and then found like this really fantastic unit which makes the unit they left look like a horse compared to a stallion. It's just that's one of the reasons. Just everyone's getting bored and they need new drama. Like Battlefield 4, as I said, it's coming to an end. The communities are getting less and less filled from when they originally launched. The bigger units, they just want to compete between each other, and the little units out there like mine and others, they don't really have much of a say. Don't get me wrong, we're not meant to have much of a say as a bigger unit, because, for example, like 5MR, they've been around for 2 years. Like the other day, my unit's been around for 2 months. I'm not saying my unit should get as much of a say as like a unit which has been around 2 years, but some units like mine, which have been around for a while, that aren't that big, should have some like an equal say compared to the units which have more of a say because they're older or they're more well known. But that's basically all I have to say on that matter.
Alright. Alright, this question would have been, is your unit in any wars or conflicts at the moment? And I understand that your unit just got done with a conflict earlier today, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We finished with a raid against 6 MR and 2 EFA. Hopefully the conflict between us is at an end. They can keep their tags, I don't care about it no more. If they want to be drama queens, they can have it. But hopefully my unit's out of conflict for at least a couple of weeks.
Alright, for our
But
viewers,
for wars, we're not on any.
for our viewers out there, can you explain to them like what happened, like from the first incident to right now?
Basically what happened was the CEO of 2EFA Minecarts, when he first launched his Milsim, nobody wanted him in it. Like he wanted people to join his Milsim, and he asked on Twitter publicly how to run a Milsim and tips for running a Milsim because he's never had any command experience. So 1EFA, because we're pretty nice guys in my opinion, we offered him an attachment role or a detachment role depending on what he wanted. He chose the attachment, and we said that we would help him along, get taught up and things like that, because everyone else was just saying that he wasted his money and that they should join his unit. So he moved from being a Swedish unit to me convincing him to become an Egyptian. He basically went under my unit's wing for 2 weeks, which was what we agreed upon, and at the end of the 2 weeks it was up to him on whether he could leave or not. Like, he could become detached from us, have nothing to do with us. But during that time, I think it was 3 or 4 days before the attachment thing was up, he said that he didn't want to be in it, and that was perfectly fair. As I said to him, he had his own choice. It wasn't a merge, it was an attachment on it. But only the agreed upon terms were that I was meant to be in all the chats because he had never been a CEO before. I was there to help him along. He admitted to me 2 days before discussing all of this that he had made false chats about it, and the chats that I were in were basically decoyed and dummy chats. Those weren't the real chats. So immediately after this, on the second, I think it was the 10th of April, I think, he left all of his chats with which basically said to me that I'd been fucked around with. And at that point, when it came, because it was late in the night, it was something like 4 in the morning for me, something stupid like that. I waited it to the next day, put it up on Twitter that 1EFA declared 2EFA a hostile aggressor, and that they would have something coming for them. So it got to the Thursday, we detached. I said they had nothing to do with my unit no more. And basically at that point, I was like, yeah, I'm going to plan on raiding them because I need to teach them a lesson that they can't do this sort of things, like plot against the attached unit and get away with it, because it's just disrespectful. So I planned a raid. I invited several of my allies and close units which I was close with. In the end, we ended up falling into a server at 8:30 GMT. Originally it was 1EFA, 23rd Infantry Division, SFSG, and I can't remember who else, but I believe there was another unit. I think it was BTI, which is a PMC we have contract with. And on their side, it started out with just 2 EFA. At that point, they could only muster 4 members, whereas 1 EFA, which the lead unit, brought in the minimum requirement of 5 tagged members, and in total we brought 11, I think. When it came to about 20 minutes in, 6 MR started falling into their side, At this point, the battles just started raging. Neither unit managed to get the other in a lasting spawn trap. Each unit managed to break out. It got to about 3.5 hours into the raid. We invited the CEO of 6MR and 2EFE into a party along with myself and the SFSG CO and XO. The 2IC and 2IC of 6MR, in my opinion, they were extremely disrespectful. Could have handled themselves in a more professional manner. I'm fully aware that we were in a hostile raid at this point, but is it towards another CEO, even if it's a smaller one, you should show some amount of respect, not treat them like crap. Like, we got treated like crap. We got accused of things with no proof. And they just basically were very shameful. The 2EFE at this point, don't get me wrong, I don't like them, but they were probably the most respectful in the party, other than the allied units which we brought in. At this point, 23rd said that they had to go, so they fell out the server. It was then when it first started, it was like a 29v20, but at this point it was an 18v20. It got to the point where we were 700 tickets down. We were thinking about calling it a loss. So my unit, most of my unit fell out the server, and then I was talking with the allied commanders which were there. We were organising if we should take it as a loss or carry on. Long story short, from that bit, we talked for about half an hour, maybe an hour. We then, I can't remember how we did it, but we somehow managed to get Para to fall in, and from Para falling in, it took all of 20 minutes for them to fill our server, which at this point had been drastically dropped down to about 13 people in total. There was 6 1EFA, 5 SFSG, and 3 AGS. And at this point, they were like, when Para started falling in, the tide, it just changed so differently. Like, we ended up having them in a spawn trap within the first 20 minutes. 6MR had fallen out, carried on for another 20 minutes. And throughout the entire time, I was getting messages off the CEO of 2EFA asking if we wanted to surrender, because we were losing by like 700 tickets. Got to the point where we had them spawn trapped, and I've got a beautiful screenshot which I put on my Twitter page as well, on my unit, where it's just a line of KRH, Para, AGS, SFSG, 1EFA. We were all just in a line, perfect spawn trap. It got to the point where Minecart himself sent me a message saying he surrendered. He wanted us to fall out the server. We refused. We told him he would have to fall out first, so joined the party, talked a little, he fell out, and in the end, Para and 1EFA and the rest of the allied forces, there was something like 8 units involved on our side in total, which ended up helping 1EFA take the win. So it was a pretty good overall skirmish, but there was a lot of, in my opinion, pathetic tactics that were involved, such b-hopping, things like that. But it was a pretty good thing, other than the clan tactics that we used. That's it, basically. Right now we're just trying not to get any hostile actions from them. We've agreed, I've spoke for my unit and said that we'll cease all hostile terms and keep their tags. We don't want them. We've got 1 EFA and 3 EFA for our detachments, and we're basically good with what we are right now. So just hopefully they don't plan on raiding us anytime soon.
And he messaged you, the 2EF guy, and he asked you if you wanted to surrender, correct?
He asked me first.
If you wanted to surrender.
And then it got, yeah, because we were like 700 tickets down.
That would have been a perfect
and
response.
At this point, we were
considering
considering
hell.
surrender. No, it was at the point where there was just 6MR they were just doing some horrible tactics and like b-hopping, jet ramming, things like that. And it was at that point where we were on the Chinese team. The entire Chinese team was just completely demoralized because it was pathetic. Myself, I was gonna stay for another like 5-10 minutes at max at this point, but then someone came up with the idea of getting another unit to help fall in, and ended up that we ended up pushing them back. We were still at the 700 ticket like loss at the end. Like it shows that on the tweet I made, but we ended up taking W and making 2 EFA fall out of their own server. They managed to take the loss, and it was something along the lines of you admit to certain.
You said that 6MR was jet ramming. Do you have video proof of this?
One of my sergeants has got video proof of it. If I look on his page, I'm sure I can find that proof and send it to whoever needs to be.
Alright.
But
we never sure
really got into that.
People are going to hear this and they're going to want to see it.
I heard from a sergeant that 6MR were jet ramming. I got proof of B-hopping, etc. And I'm pretty sure other members which were involved have got proof of the jet ramming and taxiing and all that.
I've been out of Milsim for a little bit now. Jet ramming is frowned upon. I mean,
there's a lot of things that are frowned upon, but people still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and infantry and stuff like that. That was quite a common place in that raid.
Alright. This question, you can be as honest as you can. We tell everyone that comes on the stream you're free to speak your mind and whatnot. The question is, who do you think makes the most trouble in the Milsim community?
ID or 5M. Actually, no, it's probably, in my opinion, 8ID. But personally, I would think between 8ID, the temporary CO, I think it was Impy. He caused quite a bit of problems for us, but as of right now, I haven't heard anything from 8ID in a while, so I don't really know. If I'm pretty sure, like overall, like let's say from January till right now, I would say 8ID, but as of right now, I don't really know who to pick.
As far as I know, the MP dropped from CO to a corporal, I think. Next question I got. What do you wish to see changed in the Milsim community?
Hopefully, I would hope to see the old rules return and the new rules be thrown out the window, because soft targeting, knifing, it's just disrespectful. Like, we do friendly GATOs with other units and we don't use the new Milsim standards, we use the old ones just because knifing, it's just disrespectful. Don't get me wrong, if we go into raids or anything like that, hostile engagements, we'll knife, but that's because we're meaning to be disrespectful. You're raiding us or you're doing something hostile against us. But personally, I really think that the community should change back to the old rules. That's about it though.
Son of a bitch, I was talking to mute.
I was wondering what was taking so long, like.
But yeah, we got quite a bit of time before our next guest comes on board. We could stay here and BS for a little bit.
Oh, I don't know, like BSing on a stream which is for an account which has got over 300 followers, which could easily raid me, wipe me off existence, drop a war doc on me. Oh, I think I'll pass on that BS. Like,
Well, BS is just bullshit.
did you not just
and
invite
shit.
the other guest earlier?
Oh, we're waiting on the response. So, hey. Originally, original schedule was 2100. We were going to talk to 2 EFA around this time because we weren't sure if that stuff was going to go on or not. And we hear this side and see what's going on, blah blah blah.
I can tell you personally, Minecart's offline.
Yeah.
He dropped offline like 20 minutes after the raid.
Shit.
I wouldn't expect to hear from 2EFA today, not from Central Standard Time.
We were talking to, we did shoot a message to the on Twitter to see if they were interested in coming on the stream. The lieutenant who runs the 14th Twitter said he was going to bring us command staff, but we didn't hear anything after that. Then again, we didn't ask today. We just asked the last night. But hey. Well, that's pretty much all I got for you, man. I'm gonna take a quick break and get a couple drink. But small thanks for taking time out of your day, man, and joining us on the stream.
Alright, if you need me, just drop me a message, I'll pop back on.
Alright, man. Have a good one.
Alright, fella.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a quick break. Those of you who are just tuning in, I'm not sure what to tell you. We were supposed to have a guest on around 2030 Central Standard Time, but seeing that they pulled out when they started getting raided, and they just told us they didn't want to do it really. After they started getting raided, they had to pull out, blah blah blah. But I'm gonna go get a drink. Hopefully we hear back from GSC within the next few minutes, and we'll get them in the party as soon as we can. Cheers. Alright, we've yet to hear back from GSC. We're not sure what's going on here. Stick, just be patient, ladies and gents, and we'll try to get them on board or so. If any GSE members are watching currently, send us a message or pop in the chat. We are trying to get a hold of Archer and the command staff for GSC. That way we could continue to stream without having this big gap. Alright, ladies and gentlemen on the stream, we're gonna have to take pause real quick because we are not hearing anything from GSC at all. And we're gonna pause this, we're gonna end the stream, and when we get everything set up, when we hear from GSC and get everything set up again, we'll post it on Twitter, put that part 2 of the stream when it's up. That way, those of you who follow us on Twitter can just click the link and it'll bring you back here and we'll talk to GSC. Hopefully, it won't be too long. Alright, for those of you who have watched the stream, watched our talks with one EFA, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking time out of your days. That time out of your day, goddamn, and to watch the stream. And we hope to see you guys back shortly.